Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can understand my Australian accent. Yes? Can you hear me at the back? Yes! Oh, good. Somebody's got a very loud voice there. Well, what can I say, Pomoji? Thank you very much for this great honour that seems to have been some years in the making. I remember I can't remember how many years ago, but when you were first thinking about a university and you said, "Oh, Karl, you can be the rector." And I laughed. I thought that was a very good joke, but now it's happened. And sometimes I wonder how it happened so quickly. Because when I arrived back in Myanmar just 2 weeks ago, I had no idea that I would be standing here accepting this position to be the rector of the university. I thought the process might take a little longer. But this is the way Unayaka works, I've come to learn. Yeah. He makes a decision about something and then makes it happen. And I really admire that about him because he has a vision for what he wants to see, and nothing will get in the way of him achieving that vision. And that's something very much to admire, and I think a very good message to all the students at the university, that education is the key for you to achieving your goals and your dreams. And I know in the current climate in Myanmar, it's sometimes very difficult to think about the future and where your life will head. But if you can invest now in education, one thing I've learned as I've entered my 65th year nearly, is that times change and things will be different in the future to what they are now. And it's really important that everybody take the opportunity now at this point in your lives to make the best pathway for your futures. We might not be able to tell what they are, but if you really focus on what you're doing now and make the best of it, then you can be sure that in the future, whatever happens, you will be well prepared. So maybe you want to know a little bit about me, I'm not sure. Even if you don't, I'm going to tell you. So I first came to Myanmar in 1995, and at that time I was working with an international organisation called World Vision. Before I worked for World Vision, I was a school teacher for about 10 years, and I specialised in teaching English as a second language and supporting teachers who had non-English speaking students in their classroom. Before that, when I was 15, I don't think you know, I was in the Royal Australian Navy. Did you know that, Wenmai?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I joined the Navy as a 15-year-old in Australia as a naval officer cadet. And then I left 2.5 years later because I figured it wasn't the career that I wanted. But a very interesting experience to be part of the armed services. I then went on eventually to study teaching and ended up teaching in the Catholic school system in Australia, where, as I say, I spent 10 years. When I thought I'd had enough of teaching in a classroom, I looked around for other work, and I was very committed to coming back overseas because I'd worked in Singapore and Malaysia as a volunteer with another organisation called the Salvation Army, which is also, I think, has some programs in Myanmar. So I started to look around for ways that I could work overseas, and I undertook a master's degree in development studies, which I didn't finish, but that enabled me to get a job with World Vision. And I spent a few years with World Vision in Australia and then came out here with my family. And at that point, the previous military government was there, and there was much less development in Myanmar. And my younger son was 3 years old at the time. And when we were driving from the old airport into the city, he looked up at me and said, "Dad, why did you bring us to the jungle?" because all he could see were trees and not many buildings at all at that point. Now Yangon is a very, very different place, as you know. So we stayed for 3 years and went back to Australia for a year and then came back for another 4 years. And during those periods, as Pongpongji has explained, I got in touch with the school here and assisted in the way Pongpongji has described. But I was always really inspired by what the school was doing. And one of the other things that we worked, when I was with World Vision, we worked with Pongpongji with the street children's program. And eventually the hostel for street children was moved into the back of the school there behind the novices buildings. I guess the building is still there, right? Yeah. But not the street children anymore. But so over these many years, yeah, I've come to understand a lot about the way things work in Myanmar, the way the monastic school system works. And I've also come to realise how little I know about all these things. So when Pongpongji asked me if I would be the rector, it was a big decision because I recognise that there are lots of things I might have, but there are lots of things I still need to learn. And so this, for me, is another path for learning, and it's really important that you don't stop learning at any point in your life. So I hope that as I learn in this new role, that you will give me the time and space to understand how things operate in Phaung Daw Oo International University, that you support me, and that if you have questions about things that you think I should do or things that I've done, that we have a very open relationship, and we will develop communication channels to enable us to communicate about how to improve the university for everybody, the lecturers, the students, the administrators. It's been a quick learning the last 2 days when I've been able to speak to the teaching staff and the administrative staff at the university. So as I say, I'm still learning a lot about people and the way the university is structured and how it operates. Unfortunately, I'm not here full time, and that's another thing you have to realise. I will actually go back to Australia in December, and the next time I'll be back is probably after Water Festival next year. So initially you won't see a lot of me, but hopefully with the wonders of modern communication, we will be able to connect on Zoom or some other platform yet to be discovered, but we will be able to keep in touch online and support each other that way. So I'm going to finish here. Thank you very much for your welcome. I really look forward to working with all of you, and I just want to encourage you to make the most of this time in your lives. It's very important. Thank you.